A very good morning to all of you. Hope you are doing good in your health. Today we'll be learning about the circulatory system. All the living organisms on this earth are made up of cells. Cells require nutrients for their healthy growth. Apart from the essential elements, essential nutrients, cells also produce very harmful substances. These harmful substances have to be removed from the body. So, taking the nutrients to the cell and taking away metabolic waste from the cells require a well-organized system, a well-organized transport system. So now different organisms have evolved different mechanisms of this transport. Some simple organisms like sponges and coelenterates circulate water through their body cavities. So this water exchange the harmful substances from the body cavity and moves outside. Like this, they get rid of the metabolic waste. In higher organisms, the body is filled with the fluid. This fluid gets transported inside the body and takes the nutrients to the cells and metabolic waste away from the cells. So blood and lymph are two types of body fluids which are present. So today's topic is circulatory system. So circulatory system will include composition of blood and lymph and their mechanism of circulation, right? So let us learn about the blood. So blood is a fluid connective tissue that is made up of plasma, blood cells and platelets, right? So I'll repeat, blood is made up of plasma, blood cells and platelets. You know, blood cells and platelets together are known as the formed elements, and plasma covers around 55% of the blood volume and formed elements cover around 45% of the 45% of the blood volume. Formed elements are made up of red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. Plasma is straw colored and it is having 90% water and 10% dissolved gases, proteins like albumins, globulin and fibrinogen. If we remove fibrinogen from the plasma becomes serum. If we remove fibrinogen from the plasma, it becomes the serum. Then comes the lymph. Lymph is that blood which moves from the capillaries to the tissues. And you know, certain fluid is left behind in the tissues, that is known as the lymph. So lymph is a clear colorless liquid with a composition similar to that of the blood plasma. It is nothing but a clear watery blood plasma leaked out through the capillary walls to flow around the cells. It contains oxygen, proteins, glucose and WBCs. The function is transporting of oxygen, food materials, hormones, etc. to the body cells and taking away the metabolic waste from the cells and pouring in the venous system. Venous system is the impure blood, and blood cells get moist with the lymph, and all the microorganisms or the microorganisms which invade the body are carried to the lymph nodes by the lymph, and in the lymph nodes they get destroyed. Okay. Our circulatory system is composed of heart. Main organ is the heart, and what circulates the thing to the heart, that is the blood. So blood carries the impure blood as well as the pure blood. Okay. Now let us understand about the main organ, that is the heart. Our heart is the main circulatory organ of our body. It is situated in the thoracic cavity in between the lungs. If you see, our heart is divided into two parts. One is the right side and another is the left side. So the right side carries the impure blood and the left side carries the pure blood. The impure blood is nothing but oxygen deficient blood, and pure blood is nothing but the oxygen rich blood. Okay. Our heart is divided into four chambers. Our heart is divided into four chambers. The right atrium, the right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. I repeat, right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, left ventricle. The two atrium are separated by interstitial septum. Interatrial septum. The two atria are separated by interatrial septum, and the two ventricles are separated by the interventricular septum. So the right atrium and right ventricle are separated by a wall which is known as the tricuspid wall. The right atrium and right ventricle are separated by the tricuspid wall. The left atrium and left ventricle are separated by the bicuspid wall. So what happens is, vena cava carries the impure blood to the right atrium. Vena cava is having super vena cava as well as inferior vena cava. Super vena cava which carries the impure blood from the brain, and inferior vena cava which carries the impure blood from the lower part of the body. So they both empties into the vena cava, and vena cava empties its blood, the impure blood, to the right atrium. From the right atrium, the blood moves through tricuspid wall into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, the blood moves through pulmonary artery to the lungs. In the lungs, the blood gets purified. The carbon dioxide is taken away and oxygen is mixed in the blood. So blood from the lungs is carried by pulmonary vein to left atrium. From the left atrium, the blood moves to the left ventricle through bicuspid wall. Okay, and from the left ventricle, the blood is pumped to all the parts of the body through the aorta. Is pumped through all the parts of the body through the aorta. Now, our heart beats 72 times per minute. Our heart beats 72 times. When the atria contract, it is known as atrial systole. When ventricle contract, it is known as ventricular systole. When atrial relax, it is known as atrial diastole. When ventricles relax, it is known as ventricular diastole. So in one cardiac cycle, atria contract and the blood moves to the ventricles, and when atria relax, the ventricles contract and pushes the blood to the lungs and other parts of the body. So one systole and one diastole comprises the one cardiac cycle, and in one cardiac cycle the ventricle pumps around 70 ml of blood. Hope you have enjoyed whatever we have learned today. See you soon. Stay blessed, stay safe at home.